Hello and welcome to Agastya Valipadu. Agastya, Purpose of Life. It's a translation of the sacred discourses of Agastya Valipadu in English. And today's topic is the sacred urn worship, or as we say in Hinduism, Kalasa puja. Sister Sumati?
Yeah. Gujarat Swamigal's family had performed the Kalasha or sacred urn worship the way Father Agastya had taught them. The next day, Agastya gave them an explanation of the ritual thus. Sage Agastya. The coconut signifies the personification of goddess Shakti. To help people understand this, they keep a trident of the goddess on it. Applying turmeric on the coconut signifies the state of auspiciousness and purity.
So, what we understand from this is, in Hinduism, we are often told that there's too many rituals. We're criticized about the rituals, and many are dismissed as meaningless. But every single ritual in Hinduism has a purpose or meaning behind it. There's always an inner meaning that needs to be understood. So, on one hand, we have people criticizing it, but on the other hand, we also have people performing these rituals without understanding what they signify. And that is why Appa is giving us all this information so that we can actually understand what we are doing. And when we understand, then our ritual becomes meaningful. So here Appa is saying, we keep a coconut. Everybody keeps a coconut. Why do we keep a coconut? Coconut signifies Mother Adi Parashakti. And so that people can actually understand, some people also keep a trident next to it, a small trident. But not everybody does it. But that was another way from the ancient rishis to help us understand what the coconut signifies. Applying turmeric. Now, turmeric is one thing that has been used in India from time immemorial. So turmeric purifies. It has so many medicinal properties. And when we put anything like turmeric on either a person before they get married, when a child, when it's born and it's being given its first few months of bathing, we put turmeric on it. Turmeric cleanses, it purifies, it's very auspicious. So that is why in the olden days, they told us, okay, keep a coconut, keep a trident on it, and then put turmeric on it. Go ahead, sister.
A coconut is placed on 5 mango leaves to signify the 5 higher attributes or characters, which means it is the personification of Mother, Goddess, based on the 5 characteristics.
What are these 5 characteristics? So yesterday I was trying to think about it. What is Appa talking about? So this is my understanding. So we are now praying to the mother goddesses, Adi Parashakti, in the form of a coconut. So Adi Parashakti is the creative principle. So what are the 5 main elements in creation that make creation happen, or because of that, we are able to perceive and live and be part of this creation? It's air, earth, water, fire, and ether. So now let's look at the 5 characteristics of the Divine Mother based on these 5 elements. So what is air? As air, Divine Mother is the giver of life. Without air, none of us can survive. So when somebody gives you life, what is it that they personify? They personify love, that all pervasive love that a mother, a human mother goes through to bring a life into this world. She goes through untold suffering to bring a soul into this world. And so does Divine Mother give us this earth through love. And so love becomes the highest characteristic. Then comes earth. What is earth? Earth is a peace. It is patience. It's a protector. It nurtures us. So what does a mother do? A divine mother is like earth. In the form of earth, She is the one who is a protector. She nurtures us. She gives us everything we need to live. And because of that, she promotes peace. So, what does a physical mother do? The same thing. The child is born, she brings it up with a lot of patience and nurtures and tries to promote peace in its life. So, peace becomes the second highest attribute. And what is the third one? Water. What is water? What does water do in Hinduism? In most Hindu rituals, we have people sprinkling, sacred water on us. We go dip into the river Ganga. She is the personification of purity because purifying is the significance of water. So purity becomes the third major attribute. In fact, if you look at the Christian religion also, they do baptism with water. If they cannot dip in the water, then the priest takes water and puts it on the child's, Sahasrara Chakra, or the head area. So water purifies. So right now we have Divine Mother as the giver of love, peace, and purity. And then comes fire. What does fire signify? Fire is that which destroys everything that is bad. It destroys ignorance. That is why in Divine Mother's form we have Chamundeshwari who kills Mahishasura. If you think of Mahishasura as ignorance, Chamundeshwari is that truth that will destroy ignorance. So the fourth important characteristic is truth. So then we come to ether. So what does ether signify? Ether is that all-pervading material. And what is it that is all-pervading that we know through Valipadu? It is the cosmic intelligence. So when we have cosmic intelligence, that is pure wisdom. So the fifth higher principle then is wisdom. So we begin with the mother who gives love, promotes peace, helps us purify, destroy ignorance, and promote truth, and through that, gain wisdom. And this is the 5 characteristics of Divine Mother that Appa Agastya says is inherent in the meaning of the 5 mango leaves we keep underneath the kalasham. So with that, we are telling Divine Mother, you who are the giver of love, who promotes peace, who destroys our evil ignorance, you who purifies us, give us cosmic intelligence and wisdom so we can go further in our spiritual life and reach our divine nature. Go ahead, sister.
The picture on which the coconut is kept signifies the entire universe. It reminds one of the primordial energy, Adi Shakti, that pervades the entire world. The water in the pitcher and the juice inside the tender coconut signify the purity that is Ganga.
So again, Appa brings all of this different elements. The mother is the coconut, the 5 mango leaves, which signify all these 5 higher characteristics, sustained in the universe, which is the Kalasa. And what does the Kalasha contain? What is the universe actually made of? It is purity, because the absolute is pure. So Ganga, the water which is inside that, or the water inside the coconut, everything is always pure because purity is the essence of the absolute. So what do we learn from this, just these 2-3 paragraphs? That we need to be like Mother Earth. We need to be like the Divine Mother, the cosmic mother, or even as looking at a physical mother of the humans. We need to be like her, caring, loving, nurturing, peaceful, patient, destroy our ignorance, become pure, and gain wisdom. So the entire concept of the spiritual life is in the Kalasha Puja. Go ahead, sister.
Neem leaves. Neem leaves had been kept along with the pitcher as advised by Sage Agastya. This is normally not part of this prayer ritual. Sage Agastya gave this explanation on why they had been asked to place the neem leaves. You have kept the neem leaves in front of the urn like I advised you to. This is a new method. Why did I ask you to place the neem leaves? Let me explain. Neem has the power to disperse evil entities that are trying to attack you all. After the ritual, camphor needs to be burnt in front of the sacred urn or the kalasha. Dip the neem leaves into the water in the urn, sprinkle that sacred water around the house. This will drive evil entities away from your house.
Now, again, Appa is now giving us another layer on the ritual to perform. And why is this? Because he says neem has the power, neem leaf has the power to destroy or dispel negative energies in the house. And why is he bringing this added layer in this Kali Yuga? Because of the prevalence of negativity around us in this world. He understands now we have to add another layer because there's so much negative energy and it needs to be dispersed. And how can it be dispersed? By using neem leaves, by keeping it there, knowing that it has the power to disperse negative energy. And then he says, after the puja, use the camphor and do the arati in front of the kalasha, and then dip the neem leaves into the urn or the kalasha and sprinkle that around the house. And when you're sprinkle with the total faith and devotion, knowing that evil energy is being dispersed. So in this current situation, in this current world, it's very important for us, whether we are Hindus, Muslims, Christians, it doesn't matter, to try to keep our external elements like neem leaves, or in the West, if they don't get those things, they can use cactus, rock salt. All these have the ability to disperse negative energy. It's very important now because of the highly prevalent negativity that is around this world. Go ahead, sister.
After giving the family this explanation, Sage Agastya said, "Blessings to you and your family," and giving a short, loving laugh, added, "Now you can all go and appease your hunger." That day, the sage had dictated 9 pages of knowledge without a break from 12 noon to 1:30 p.m. He knew that none of the family members, including the children, had eaten since morning as they were listening to his discourse and were all hungry.
That's right. So actually, this whole topic came up because, as I've already explained, Gajrat Swamigal's family did not know too many rituals. Vijayalakshmi, Arultai Vijayalakshmi knew a little bit and she would do what she knew, but the rest of us didn't know. But there was a particular time when I was actually affected by a lot of negative energy that had been directed towards me. And that is when Appa Agastya told us to do the Kalasha Puja and then explained what it all means. Because once the Kalasha Puja was done, he had also asked us to keep a lemon there. And that lemon had turned pitch black. It had attracted all the evil energy, and we were able to, burn it and destroy it so it wouldn't affect anybody else. So many people think that's black magic. No, this is not black magic. This is a divine ritual that Appa Agastya has given so that we can actually remove the effects of black magic. Because sometimes the black magic, what is it? It's the evil intent of a person who is powerful enough to bring, give form to negative energy to affect another person. And that can happen to any one of us. So this kind of a ritual helps us protect ourselves against it. And the interesting part about this also is, it was a very beautiful moment when Appa laughed. And his laugh was so beautiful. It was not like my father, the way he laughed, Gajrat Swamigal, that was different. The way Appa Agastya laughs is very, very, very different. It was like he gave a short laugh and said, "You're all hungry, go and eat." Because many times, without us expressing what was going on within us, he knew and he responded to it. So we were all hungry and he knew we were hungry and waiting for that long puja to finish. and also the writing to finish. And he said, now go and eat. So that was the human element which touched us when he was blessing this family. Go ahead, sister.
Fire ritual or Agni Hotram. Sage Agastya, looking at me, who was born of the fire, you now have a desire in your mind to ask me what is Agni Hotram, correct?
Very
Who
important
is
again. The very first sentence in Hindu mythology and in Hindu literature, we and interpretations, we have a lot of different theories on the birth of Agastya. Some people say he is born of the pot, that's why he's called Kumbhamuni. Some others say he came as a human being and he lived here. And there are different theories. But Appa Agastya says, looking at me, who was born of the fire. So what does he mean? So when the absolute had the creative principle, emerge from it as an act of creation, fire was the main thing that came into existence. In that fire was born Appa Agastya. So if you look, as you read the Agastya Valipadu, you'll realize that one of the first 7 lights is what I call them. We call them Saptarishis. In other religions, they have different names, where actually these superpowers, like the rishis who were first created. And only after that came the gods and other aspects of creation. So if you look at it, if you look at all the different religions, the Jews have 7 candles in their main thing in the altar. We talk about the 7 centers in our human body as the chakras, and 7 plays a very significant role in almost every religion. When one of the saints in Christianity talked about it, she talked about the 7 planes of existence. They talk about the 7 heavens. So 7 then is the most important number in spirituality, because it signifies the 7 primal beings or created energy that came out of existence, came into existence from Parashakti or the creative principle. So Appa Agastya, in my understanding, is the foremost, was born of the fire. So if you read one of a beautiful shlokas in Agastya Valipadu, Agaramai Elathinil Agiya Mudalvinin, in Tamil it means, it says, as the letter A, which is the primordial being, which is Appa Agastya. So that the Om itself, if you think about it, A, U, and Ma. And in that particular shloka, it says, Agaramai Eluthil Agiya Mudalvanin, Ugaramai Uyargalil Uyanda Munivanai. That is, in U, as that which is created, he is the highest of the Munis. Magaramam Pirappenum Mayaye Niki. In Ma, as that which dispels the ignorance of the illusion of creation, is Sage Agastya, which means the A, U, and Ma is actually the entire creative cycle constituted in those 3 letters. A is creation, the beginning. Ma, U is the preservation or the life or the creative principle. And then Ma is that which dispels the ignorance of creation and brings us back to the primordial state of the absolute. So there is a deeper meaning to the word Om. And they say when the creation was first manifested, that was the primordial sound that came into existence. And even now they say in the Himalayas, those who are able to hear can hear the sound of the Om reverberating all over it. And also in meditation, when you reach a certain stage, Om is the sound that will become more apparent to you, to your higher hearing capacity. So Appa is born of Agni, the creative principle. And in this Valipadu, he dispels all the other stories and says, this is what I am. Go ahead, sister.
Who is Agni or fire? Fire or Agni is one of the first creations of the Absolute. During creation, the Trinity were created to ensure that different works related to creation took place correctly. These are Brahma, Vishnu, and Parameshwara. The Absolute gave the work of creation, preservation, and destruction to these three. In the same way, he also created the seven rishis or the Saptarishis. They were created to help the different worlds and the gods. In the same way, the sun, moon, water, air, and fire were created for the welfare of the world. There are different attributes to fire. It has the power to burn all materials. It means purification. It also gives light.
So here, Appa
And
is talking about the creation itself and how, first, how the creation came into being, how the Trinity was created. Trinity here in Indian Hinduism is called Brahma, Vishnu, and Parameshwara, the creation, preservation, and destruction principles. But in Christianity, we are talking about creating the Trinity as the Father, Son, and the Holy Ghost. So it's all the same principles. It's just that we give them different terms. Now, when I'm talking about Brahma, Vishnu, and Maheshwara, when Appa is talking about it, he's talking about the creative principles that came into existence. The A, U, and Ma, the creation, preservation, and destruction. But that is different from what we pray as gods. That comes later. Then comes he talks about the Saptarishis, the seven powers that actually are the ones which help the gods themselves and creation in many different ways. So these are the saints of the Christian religion, and in the maybe the Prophet Muhammad of the Islam religion, and in other religions also, those that guide the humanity. They assume different forms through the different lives, and that is why if you see in Hinduism, the names of the Saptarishis changes at least 2 or 3 times in different Puranas and in the Upanishads. Why is it? That is because it doesn't matter. They're all the same energies. It's just that we as humans give them different names. Doesn't matter whether we are what language, religion we belong to. We all belong to the same created universe. Then he says one of the first things was fire. Fire, not as the element of fire that we recently talked about, which is fire, water, ether. No, we are not talking about that. Fire as the creative principle. So these are the different layers we need to understand when we are talking, we are reading Agastya Valipadu. So he says, fire has the power to burn everything, which means it is the means of purification, and it also gives light. So that was what we talked about when we were talking about the 5 higher characteristics. Fire is one that can destroy and give us light or ignorance. Destroy ignorance and give us light. So fire has the ability to burn our ignorance and give us light. Go ahead, sister.
So to reiterate, another attribute of Agni is removal of ignorance and giving of knowledge. It has the attribute of driving away the negative through the heat it generates. However, there is a difference between Agni and the element of fire, that is Agni. As an element, it is one of the 5: earth, space, air, water, and fire. As the element fire, it has the characteristics of Agni.
So here again, we are trying to understand 2 layers. Agni as the primordial principles of creative energy that came into existence through the creative principle, that is Adi Parashakti. That is different than the 5 elements that came into being to create this visible earth that we are able to see. So Agni here was the first of creation. Fire as Agni, that we also call Agni fire in Hinduism, is the matter that is composed of the 5 elements, which is part of that, which is fire, earth, water, air, and space. Go ahead.
The fire ritual is something that has been practiced However, there is a difference. Yeah, sorry. The fire ritual is something that has been practiced since the time of the Vedas till now. The ritual consists of creating a fire and then offering varied materials into the fire to create smoke. When performing a fire ritual or homam, it is important to remember the following. The material used for constructing the altar or the homakunda to perform the ritual should be made of mud or brass. What are the materials that can be used to create fire and in what quantity? The easiest material to create fire which can be found is the dry cake made of cow dung. With it, you can use the bark and branches of some of the trees as stipulated in the Vedas. Ghee can be used to make the fire rage. Honey can be mixed with it. Sacred words. Yeah. Shall I
So,
continue?
here, yeah, actually, let us talk a little bit about it. So, Appa here is talking about the fire ritual or the ritual of Agni Homam. So, this fire is something that is used very, very commonly in all the Hindu rituals. Whether we enter into a new home and we do a Agni Homa, whether we do a Satyanarayana Puja and do a Agni Homa, whether we do a naming ceremony, we do a little Agni Homa, or if we do marriage, definitely there is Agni. So why do we do that? Appa is trying to explain to us the significance of doing that particular ritual, and that is what this whole chapter is about. And then he says, when doing this, we have an altar that should be made of mud or brass. Nowadays they try to make it with all different things, but we must follow the stipulations that was given by the rishis in the olden ages, and they were for a reason. Even if you think about it, even the clothes you wear and what you do, it's best to remain natural, using cotton, silk, and that is what is also offered when you're offering to materials to Agni, all natural materials. Because in this there are two layers. One is, it is because it is natural materials going to creating that sacred or divine energy. But also, if we use all these other materials, like that we have invented as human beings, like plastic for example, those things are not able to be assimilated back into the earth. So they are not meant to have been created at all, but we have, and that is why we are suffering so much. The one little plastic, the creation of plastic, which made everything become so cheap. Now you cannot live in a world without plastic. Everything needs plastic, but it takes, they say, a long, 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 long time for it to disintegrate, and it could be long after the earth itself is destroyed, because that is where we have come. There is still no technology that can completely disintegrate plastic. So we are coming back to that, where whatever they said in the olden age had a meaning. So use natural materials when you're doing all these rituals. Then he sees, so you can use cow dung cake, uh, and then we can use ghee, he says, and then the bark and branches as stipulated in the Vedas. So I do not know what exactly they use, but those who perform these rituals are able to read the Vedas and understand and do that. So he says, for Agni Homam to be really valid, then do it according to the Shastras, because there's a meaning behind each step. Go ahead.
Sacred words are chanted during the fire ritual or the homam. What type of chant is that? Who chants it? How do they chant? All this is important. Finally, it is important to see where, what time, and how many days and why it is being performed. The power of the mantras that are being chanted mixes with the smoke being emitted and pervades the area around it. Purity comes naturally where there is fire. That is why fire is burnt in a new place, new home, or during a good event. This helps cleanse the area during that time.
Now, everything that Appa is saying here is important. He says, sacred words are chanted during the ritual of Agni Homam. Why is that? Sacred words. If you look at it, the primordial sound of creation is Om. So in Hinduism and in Sanskrit, especially when we chant Sanskrit syllables, we understand that every chanted word has power. So he says, what is important here is what type of chant is that? Because each syllable has a power of invoking that particular type of energy. Who chants it? Important again, because if I chant it or you chant it, it will not have the same power as somebody who knows the meaning of it and knows how exactly to chant it, because the vibration of the sound has the ability to connect to that particular frequency to bring that particular divine blessings on that occasion. How do they chant? Again, nowadays we have a lot of priests performing this Agni Homam. Appa says that is what he's trying to say indirectly. It has to be chanted with complete devotion and intent, because any word without intent has no power. And he says, so all this is important. There's another thing that we have to talk about in a daily life when we are talking about the power of words. Refrain from using bad words. They're not good. They have negative energy. They affect you, they affect the person you're directing it towards. So when you're angry, the anger has negative energy in it. That is why when somebody is very angry at you and hurling angry words at you, you can actually feel the physical, pain. It can affect your mental, emotional thing. So what happens when somebody scolds you a lot? You go away and sit somewhere because you're trying to recover, because that energy is affecting you. So remember that words have power. Utterances have power. So we can use that for good or we can use that for bad. And as spiritual aspirants, we must learn to use the power of words or sound for only good things. So he says, and it is also important to see where, what time, and how many days, and why it is being performed. So the Vedas have stipulated why we need to do it and what kind of chant should be used for this particular puja, because each chant, and if they say, okay, you have to do this for 7 days, the reason they said you have to do this particular homam for 7 days and do these chants for 7 days is because that vibration of the chanting and the items offered to it and the fire, they all mix together and produce the divine energy that brings down that particular blessings. That is why there's a stipulation of how many days, where you do it, and how it is being performed, and why it is being performed. All this is important. Then he says, the power of the mantra mixes with the chant, and the smoke actually spreads with that blessing, with that power in all the area around it. That is why when the homa is going on, most of us just walk away and are trying to get away from the smoke. But the smoke actually has the power in it. It's cleansing the area. It has the divine energy. So purity comes naturally where there is fire. And that we have already heard is in the previous chapter, which is fire brings about complete purity because it destroys everything. And when it destroys, then something new is created. And what is that new thing that is created? That is wisdom and purity. So that's why he says fire is burnt in a new place, a new home, or during a good event. And this helps cleanse the area during the time. Now, we must remember that every place that we live in or go to has energy. Everything is emitting energy. So that is why if, say, you go to a place where it has been built on a building that has been constructed on maybe a old burial ground, it may have a lot of negative energy depending on who's been buried there, whose consciousness was there before. Even if you enter into a new house or a house that has been occupied by someone else, we have rituals in Hinduism. Why is it? Because the energy of the people who have been living in that house pervades that house. Conversely, if a person who's of a very beautiful energy has lived in that house, then person who's entering that house, even after the person is gone, can experience it. And that happened with Gajraj Swamigal. The house he was renting and living for the last 3 years of his life, after he passed away and the house was rented to somebody else, there was a person who was an atheist, a military person, who came and occupied that place. And he told the person who he was renting the house from, I don't know what it is, but I feel so much divine energy in this place. So that is also the reason why when you go and sit near a divine being or a sage or a guru, you feel good vibrations. You enter into a satsanga and you take part in it, you're feeling good. Why is it? Because of the energy there. So remember, energy is in everything that you use. So be careful about what you use. Be careful when you have to go into a new place. Perform the fire ritual so that it can cleanse the area. And if you do not believe in fire rituals, and if you're a different religion, then use some sacred water to sprinkle around. If nothing is available, with your heart, pray for the divine and ask for divine golden energy to spread in that area. Now, there's still more interesting paragraphs in this particular subject, but we are running out of time, so we'll continue it next week. So for now, let us remember the 5 higher characteristics and try to live like that. And remember, the important thing that we can take away from this is that everything has energy, including the words we speak, and be careful about how we speak and what we say.